Welcome to the deep dive. We take the source material you give us and we pull out the most compelling insights. And today we're definitely heading into some unsettling territory. The mysterious world of lighthouses. Not the pretty ones you see on postcards, but the really isolated, kind of eerie, sometimes downright creepy ones. You shared a YouTube video with us, 3 disturbing true lighthouse horror stories. Our job today, unpack these stories. We want to explore the details, the really spine-tingling bits, and see what we can learn, what insights pop out from these tales of, well, isolation and things that just can't be easily explained.
It really is fascinating, isn't it, how these structures, these beacons that are meant to be symbols of safety out on the water, how they can become these focal points for deep unease when you're actually on the land inside them. And what's striking is you look at these different stories, seemingly unconnected, but you see this common thread. Human experience under extreme isolation, often mixed with, well, things that just defy explanation. So we're not just looking at what happened. We want to dig into why these stories hit so hard and what questions they raise about, our own group on reality sometimes.
Okay, so if you're ready to face the fog, metaphorically speaking, and maybe the unknown, let's get into these 3 accounts. First up, we have a story from a Coast Guard veteran named Nate. His cousin shared it. This took place pretty recently, 2017, at Martinez Rock. That's a lighthouse way off the coast of Maine. And when we say remote,
Yeah, remote is underselling it. Picture this. It's just this jagged outcrop of rock. There's the lighthouse, one small auxiliary building, and that's it. No connection to the power grid, no running water, barely any cell service. That immediate isolation, that almost sensory deprivation, it sets a very specific mood, doesn't it? Even before anything strange starts.
exactly, it primes you, almost. So Nate, who's described as very practical, not the superstitious type at all, he gets sent out there with another guy, Russell. It was supposed to be a 2-week maintenance rotation. Now, normally it's a solo job, but they'd had some weird electrical issues the year before, so command decided to send 2 people. Their first few days sound pretty normal. Checking the beacon mechanics, the backup batteries, dealing with the diesel generator, scraping salt corrosion off everything. Standard stuff. Nights were quiet, reading, simple meals, playing cards. They knew what they signed up for, that isolation. But then night 4 hits. Things start to get off. Nate wakes up, it's about 2 a.m. He just feels weird. He described the atmosphere as feeling heavier, kind of like that feeling right before a big thunderstorm, but the sky was clear. And then he realizes the beacon isn't turning.
That atmospheric thing, that sense of just wrongness, even when there's no obvious cause, that's often the first little nudge in these stories, isn't it? Like the place itself is whispering. So the beacon's out. What did they find when they went up to check?
This is where it goes from odd to genuinely bizarre. They climb up to the beacon room and jam deep inside the gear mechanism. They find this large piece of cloth. It's described as dark, slimy, covered in moss, like an old wet blanket or maybe a heavy coat. And it stank, like rotting seaweed and mildew.
Okay, wait. Jammed in the gears, but how?
That's the thing. The beacon room door was locked from the inside when they went to bed. The windows are thick glass, sealed tight against the weather. There was no logical way for it to get in there. They managed to pull it out, threw it off onto the rocks below, shrugged it off. It's just incredibly weird, a one-off freak thing.
A physical object appearing inside a locked, sealed room. That pushes past just a feeling, doesn't it? For these 2 guys, practical Coast Guard types, that detail alone must have started to mess with their heads. You said it was a one-off, but it wasn't, was it?
Oh no. The very next night, same time, just after 2 a.m., Nate wakes up again. Beacon's not turning. They go up. This time, it's a different piece of fabric jammed in there, smaller. Described as an old-fashioned red frayed scarf, or maybe a shawl. And this one was soaked with seawater. It even had tiny little crustaceans clinging to it, like it had literally just been pulled out of the ocean.
Whoa!
Yeah. That's when Nate knew. This wasn't some random event. This wasn't a coincidence. They double-checked everything, doors, windows, every hatch, the supply closet, all locked, tight, secure.
The second piece, the seawater, the tiny crabs, that feels almost targeted, intentional. Like something from the island or the sea around it is actively trying to get in or at least make its presence known. This is where it really shifts, I think, from just a strange mechanical issue to something else. Something psychological starts happening now, right? How did it affect them, especially Russell?
It definitely escalated. Their paranoia just shot up. They started barricading the stairwell door at night with heavy supply crates. They were meticulous about locking the beacon room door and the main entrance door at the bottom. But Russell, he started to change. Around night 7, Nate hears him whispering, just whispering into a corner of their small sleeping quarters, saying odd things, disconnected phrases. When Nate asked him about it, Russell denied it, said he didn't know what Nate was talking about. Later that same night, Nate finds Russell just staring out the window down at the dark rocks below. Russell claimed he saw someone out there, watching them. Someone who would appear and then disappear as the beacon light swept past.
Okay, so Russell's starting to see things. Or is he?
Well, Nate didn't see anything. But Russell got progressively stranger after that. He basically stopped sleeping. He stopped talking much. Would just stare out the window for hours. He started muttering about hearing noises. Noises inside the walls, or voices coming from the stairwell when they knew they were alone.
This is such a classic response to extreme isolation and unexplained stress, isn't it? Sensory deprivation can absolutely lead to hallucinations, paranoia. The rational mind starts to create explanations, or maybe it becomes more attuned to things usually filtered out. But the dynamic is key. One person experiencing it directly, the other witnessing the decline. Makes it hard to dismiss. Was Russell just cracking, or was he genuinely perceiving something Nate couldn't, or maybe couldn't yet?
That's the terrifying ambiguity, isn't it? And it didn't stay just with Russell's experiences.
Yeah.
Night 9. They're both in their room, trying to rest. And they both hear it. Slow, deliberate footsteps. Coming from the beacon room above them, descending the metal spiral staircase.
Both of them heard it.
Both. Nate said he looked over, and Russell was just frozen, staring up at the ceiling, eyes wide. Neither of them had moved. The footsteps came partway down, then stopped. And Nate said the silence after the footsteps stopped was somehow even worse. That night, they didn't just lock the door. They shoved a heavy dresser against their bedroom door and slept with utility knives under their pillows.
Okay, that's shared auditory hallucination, maybe. Possible. But combined with everything else, it's building. What was the breaking point?
Night 11. Beacon fails again. They brace themselves, go up. This time, the beacon room door isn't just unlocked. It's wide open, like it had been kicked in, Nate said, splintered around the lock. And the beacon, wasn't just jammed, it was deliberately messed with. The huge industrial-grade bulb had been carefully unscrewed and placed perfectly upright right in the middle of the floor.
Unscrewed, not broken, just placed.
Exactly. Nate was just terrified at this point. Russell was almost catatonic, just muttering, "Someone did it. Someone was here." Then Nate felt it, a distinct cold brush against the back of his neck. He spun around, nothing. Nobody there. He looks back at Russell, who's gone white as a sheet. Russell points, trembling, at the solid brick wall of the tower and whispers, I saw a hand. It came out of the brick."
A hand out of the wall.
That's what Russell claimed. They didn't stick around. They ran. Slammed their bedroom door, locked it, barricaded it again. Russell just sat on his bunk, rocking back and forth, whispering to someone who wasn't there.
This feels like the point where even Nate's practical mind has to accept something deeply wrong and inexplicable is happening. The physical evidence, the door, the bulb, Russell's state, that cold touch, the hand, it's beyond just isolation psychosis now. So how did they get out?
The next morning, as soon as there was light, Nate grabbed the emergency satellite phone. He called for an early extraction, didn't mention ghosts or hands in walls, just claimed serious mechanical failure, needing immediate attention. The boat finally arrived that afternoon. As they were getting on, relieved, one of the crew members asked them, "Hey, what was going on at that distress call early this morning, around 2:12 a.m.? Yeah. The crewman said they'd received this garbled transmission, mostly static, but they could make out a voice saying something about someone being there with them.
And
Nate never made that call. He stared at the crewman, then looked at Russell. Russell didn't react, just stared blankly ahead. Russell apparently didn't say a single word on the entire boat ride back to the mainland. He put in his papers and quit the Coast Guard a few months later. Never told anyone, not even his family, what supposedly happened out there. Nate still works for the Coast Guard, does maintenance rotations sometimes, but he refuses, absolutely refuses, to ever go back to Martinez Rock.
Wow. That unmade distress call, that's the detail that just sends chills down your spine, doesn't it? It elevates it beyond even a shared delusion. It implies an external something capable of interacting with their technology, mimicking them maybe. It just leaves you wondering what force was truly at play there. Was it the island? Something attached to those objects? We'll likely never know.
Truly unnerving. Okay, let's shift gears. Our next story takes us somewhere different, but with its own kind of eerie vibe. Montauk Point, Long Island. During the COVID lockdowns. This is a first-hand account. The narrator was single, living alone, going stir-crazy like a lot of us were during lockdown. They connect with someone, Sophia, Soph, online Tinder, maybe Instagram. They both apparently had a bit of a rebellious streak, kind of restless, up for bending the rules, Trespassing seemed like a thrill.
Right, Montauk. It's iconic, very well known. But the lockdown context is crucial here, isn't it? It takes a familiar place and makes it unfamiliar again by stripping away the usual crowds, the usual activity. It imposes an artificial isolation, which can make things feel different, threatening even. So that was the plan. Just explore.
Pretty much. The idea was to drive out to Montauk Point late at night, park, and walk the cliff path that goes around the lighthouse. The grounds were definitely closed after sunset and probably entirely during the lockdown, so it was trespassing. The narrator admits feeling a bit hesitant about parking right in the main lighthouse lot, worried about security, but Soph was confident, like, nah, no one will be here. They cracked open some White Claws in the car first, maybe to steal their nerves a bit.
Liquid courage, right. And what was the vibe when they actually started walking around?
They started walking towards the lighthouse itself. The narrator mentions feeling it was cool seeing it loom up like that in the dark, but also eerie. Use the word liminal, which feels right, like being between worlds almost. Safaf kind of took the lead, guiding them off the main path onto the cliff walk proper, using their phone flashlights because most of the path lights were off. It was dark, rocky. They're walking along. Soph is slightly behind the narrator. Suddenly, Soph shines her light back the way they came and stops. There's someone else there, on the rocks, behind them.
Oh, not the kind of presence they were expecting, probably. What did this person look like?
Just described as a guy in a hooded coat. Black guy, couldn't tell the age. Just standing there on the rocks in the dark.
Okay, so immediate tension. Less supernatural dread, more real-world anxiety. How did they handle it? Did they think it was security?
That was the narrator's first thought. They called out, hey, do you work here? No answer, just silence.
Yeah.
So the narrator tries again, figuring they're caught. Says, look, okay, we're leaving. Sorry to bother you, trying to de-escalate. But the guy's response wasn't what they expected at all. He just says, y'all want to buy some Coke?
Wow. Okay. That shifts the energy completely, doesn't it? Suddenly, it's not about getting caught trespassing. It's a potentially dangerous encounter. More nerve-wracking in a way than if it had been security. It really highlights how isolation, even temporary man-made isolation like a lockdown, can make any unexpected human contact feel amplified, potentially threatening. What did they do then?
The narrator quickly said, no, man, we're good, thanks, and signaled to Soph to just keep moving forward, putting themselves slightly in front of her. They started walking again, trying to act casual, heading back towards the parking lot area. But the guy started moving too. He didn't say anything else. He started walking behind them, keeping the same pace, maintaining the same distance, silent. The narrator described it as the strangest, most uncomfortable thing, just being followed silently in the dark in this isolated spot, made the rest of the walk back incredibly tense.
That silent following is deeply unsettling. It's a power play, creates intense psychological pressure without overt aggression. You don't know their intent. Are they just walking the same way? Are they waiting for an opportunity? That uncertainty is terrifying.
Exactly. So they finally get off the rocky cliff walk, back onto the grassy area near the parking lot. They pick up the pace, almost speed walking towards their car. The guy behind them matches their speed. Then they hear him call out, hey, where are you going? The narrator didn't answer, didn't look back, just told Soph, don't respond, keep walking. They're moving quickly now, side by side, almost to the car. That's when they see them. Two more guys, appearing, seemingly out of nowhere, walking towards them from another direction, converging near the car.
So it wasn't just one guy. It was an ambush. That realization, going from creepy guy following us to we're outnumbered and cornered, that must have been pure adrenaline and fear. It's that stark reminder, isn't it, that sometimes the most terrifying things in isolated places aren't ghosts or strange phenomena, but other people with bad intentions. How did they escape?
The narrator made a split-second decision not to run, thinking that would trigger a chase they couldn't win. They focused on getting to the car fast. They practically dove in, slammed the doors, and the narrator hit the locks immediately. Just as they did, two of the guys grabbed for the door handles, different doors, trying to get in. They were screaming, the narrator said, just pure panic, as these guys were literally right on top of the car trying the doors. The only way out without hitting them was reverse. So the narrator threw the car into reverse and just gunned it backwards out of the parking spot. The guys apparently kicked the car, maybe hit it with their hands, as they backed away, but they didn't pursue them once the car was moving.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, hearts pounding, adrenaline dumping. The narrator said the drive back was mostly silent. They're still in touch with Soph, but the whole experience left a deep mark. Still unsettling to think about. Some friends suggested later it might have been a local gang initiation, maybe Crips, known to be in that area sometimes, who knows. But the narrator is very clear. They're never going back to Montauk Point at night again.
You can understand why. It's a stark contrast to the first story, a very human horror, but amplified by the setting, the isolation, the darkness. It really makes you think about perceived safety versus actual safety in places we think we know.
Okay, one more account. This one takes us back to the Pacific Northwest, Washington State, a decommissioned lighthouse. The story comes from a guy named Gregory talking about his friend Ian, who's a marine salvage expert. This happened back in 2013.
Right, and the source emphasizes Ian's credibility. The real deal, whether decades working in harsh marine environments, seen it all, the kind of guy who isn't easily spooked. That setup is important if he gets unnerved. So what was he doing out at this decommissioned lighthouse?
Ian was contracted by a small county government.
Yeah.
They'd inherited this old defunct lighthouse on a tiny rock island offshore. There was a dispute. Developers wanted it gone. Historians wanted it saved. Classic story. Ian's job was basically just to go out there, spend a few days, and do a basic structural assessment. Is it sound? Is it falling apart? Could it even be restored safely? The place sounds incredibly isolated, maybe even more so than Martinez Rock in some ways. Just a small rock island, maybe 300 feet across. Lighthouse, a little generator shed, some old rusted scaffolding. That's it. No proper dock. Just a narrow rock ledge where a small Coast Guard boat could barely pull up. The lighthouse hadn't been used in years. Ian was dropped off with supplies for 4 days, completely alone.
Okay, so peak isolation again. A professional doing a job expects solitude. What was the lighthouse itself like?
Pretty standard for the era, built early 1900s. About 50 feet tall, classic cast iron spiral staircase inside. The beacon itself was long dead, non-functional. Ian did his initial walkthrough, checked the main beams, the stairs, the windows for safety. Ground floor was damp, wood warped. Second floor empty, probably storage once. Third floor had a tiny former sleeping quarters. He decided to set up his cot on the ground floor near the small generator he'd brought for light and power. Bit warmer down there.
So he settles in, and the first night, anything unusual?
The first night was uneventful, actually. But Ian noted something that struck him as odd. It was too quiet.
Too quiet, how so?
Like unnaturally quiet. No seagulls, which you'd expect on a coastal rock. No insects buzzing around his lamp. Even the wind seemed muffled, soft. He just had this feeling of absence. An unnatural lack of normal background sound.
That absence of sound can be just as unsettling as strange noises, can it? It creates a vacuum. Makes you hyper-aware. What happened next?
Day 2, he wakes up, and the island is completely swallowed by fog. Dense fog. Right. He said it was a completely white world. Visibility down to maybe 5 feet. Described it as looking solid, like you could lean against it.
Okay, fog adds another layer of sensory deprivation, disorientation. Perfect atmosphere for weirdness. Did it start then?
It did. He's working his way up the spiral staircase, taking notes, checking structural points. He gets to a small maintenance closet built into the curve of the wall, halfway up. On day 1, he'd noted the door was stuck fast, wouldn't open. Now it was standing open, just a crack.
The moving object trope again?
Right. He rationalized it. Maybe the dampness from the fog, the change in humidity, caused the old wood to swell or shift just enough to pop it open. But he admitted he didn't like it. He pushed the door open further and looked inside. And there, on the dusty shelf, was a small wooden box, about the size of an old lunchbox. And it was covered in thick, damp moss, as if it had been recently submerged in water or lying out in the elements for a long time, not tucked away in a dry closet.
Okay, that's weird. The moss connects it to the outside, to the dampness, maybe even the sea. Did he open it?
No, he didn't touch it at first, just noted it down. Seemed strange. He pulled the closet door shut again, made sure it latched, and went on with his inspection.
So a slightly open door, a weird mossy box. Unsettling, but maybe explainable. Did things escalate that night?
Night 2. He wakes up again. Same thing, that profound absence of sound hits him first. Then he hears it. Footsteps. On the metal spiral stairs above him, going upward towards the empty beacon room.
Footsteps again, like Martinez Rock.
Yeah. He grabbed his flashlight, pointed it up the stairwell, waited. Heart pounding. But nothing. The footsteps just stopped. No sound of a door opening or closing upstairs. Nothing came back down. Silence returned.
That must have been incredibly unnerving. Alone, fogged in, hearing movement in a place that should be empty. What did he do the next day?
Day 3. Fog is still thick. He does a complete search. Every floor, every corner, checks the generator shed outside, finds absolutely nothing, no sign of anyone. But the box, the mossy wooden box from the closet, it wasn't in the closet anymore.
Where was it?
It was sitting outside the closet, on the stair landing, halfway into the main stairwell path, still looking damp and mossy.
Okay, now that crosses a line. It moves significantly. Did he finally touch it?
This time, yeah. He picked it up, said it was heavier than he expected for its size, like the wood was waterlogged, bloated. It seemed to be nailed shut. He didn't try to force it open. He carried it downstairs and just left it at the base of the staircase by the main entrance. Probably just wanted it out of the upper levels.
Understandable. He's trying to contain the weirdness, maybe. Keep it downstairs. But the island wasn't done with him, was it?
Not at all. He needed some air, went outside. The fog was maybe a little thinner near the ground, and that's when he saw the footprints.
Footprints. In the dirt.
Yeah. Bare footprints. Wet footprints, clearly visible in the damp earth near the lighthouse foundation. They led from the north side of the island, where there was nothing but rocks dropping to the sea, towards the sheer cliff edge on the other side. Maybe 10 or 12 distinct impressions. Bare feet, wet, leading right to the edge, and then just stopping. No return prints. Nothing.
Bare footprints ending at a cliff edge. That's deeply unsettling. Pure folklore vibes. Phantom walkers. How did Ian react to that?
He said he tried to rationalize it. Animal tracks, weird erosion, but they looked like human feet. He seriously considered calling for pickup right then, abandoning the job. But the fog was still way too thick. No boat could safely navigate to the island's ledge. He was stuck.
So he has to spend another night. After finding the box moved and seeing phantom footprints, what did he do?
He basically went into lockdown mode. Went back inside, locked the main entrance door, locked the hatch leading up to the beacon room, double-checked every window latch. He even found an old iron pipe and wedged it tight under the doorknob of the main stairwell door, blocking it from the inside. Barricaded himself in on the ground floor.
Smart move, probably. Did it help? What happened on night 3?
Around 1:30 a.m., he's jolted awake by an incredibly loud slam from upstairs. The heavy metal hatch door leading into the beacon room itself, the one he'd locked, slammed shut with violent force, shook the whole tower, dust rained down from the ceiling beam.
Oh, okay, that's physical. Forceful.
And then, right after the slam, 3 slow, distinct knocks.
Knocks on the door.
Not on the door. On the inside wall of the tower, coming from upstairs, near where the staircase curved. He said it sounded like someone was standing just inches behind the plaster wall, right near him, just tapping their knuckles. 3 slow, deliberate taps.
Oh, that's terrifying. Inside the wall, close.
Yeah. He said he just froze, didn't move, didn't breathe, until the sound completely stopped. He stayed awake the rest of the night listening.
I don't blame him. So, morning comes. Day 4. His last scheduled day.
He waited for full daylight. Checked everything again. The iron pipe was still wedged against the stairwell door. But upstairs, the mossy box he'd left at the base of the stairs was gone. Vanished. And the little maintenance closet door halfway up, it was standing wide open again.
The box is gone now. This place is actively messing with him.
He'd had enough. Went straight to his radio, called the Coast Guard liaison. Didn't claim structural failure this time. He claimed a medical issue. Said he was feeling unwell, possibly due to the prolonged damp and fog, needed immediate extraction. Used the fog as the excuse. They told him they'd try, but the fog was still dangerously thick. He had to wait. He packed his gear, went outside, and sat by the landing ledge for 7 hours, just waiting, watching the fog swirl. It actually got thicker as the day went on.
7 hours alone on that rock after everything that happened. Unimaginable.
And while he was sitting there, waiting, fog dense all around him, he heard someone walking on the gravelly path behind him, just out of sight in the whiteout. He couldn't see anything, just heard the crunching footsteps approaching.
Oh, no.
He didn't wait to see who or what it was. He scrambled right to the very edge of the cliff ledge and just stood there, back to the sea, until finally, hours later, just as it was getting dark, he heard the boat's horn cutting through the fog.
He got out.
He got out. They pulled him onto the boat. He was shivering, probably from cold and adrenaline. One of the young deckhands made some casual remark like, "Whoa, rough trip. See a ghost out there." Ian didn't say much. Back on the mainland, he filed his report. He stated the lighthouse was structurally unsound, unsafe, recommended it be sealed off permanently. He said it's structural compromises due to age and weather.
But he never mentioned the other stuff.
Never. Not the footsteps, not the box, not the knocks, not the hand Russell saw. Oh, wait, wrong story. Not the knocks or the box or the footprints. He told his friend Gregory later he was convinced he was just losing his mind in isolation, that no one would believe him. He couldn't reconcile it. Ian apparently phased out doing remote field work not long after that. His final word on it to Gregory was, "Some places are meant to be left alone. They just need time and silence."
That's a powerful statement from a practical guy. But Gregory adds one more layer, doesn't he? Something that makes it even stranger.
Yeah. This is maybe the most unsettling part for Gregory, the friend telling the story. Years later, Gregory got curious and tried to look up the specific lighthouse Ian had inspected.
Yeah.
Find its records, its coordinates, anything official about its history or staff.
Can you?
He couldn't find it. No record of a decommissioned lighthouse matching Ian's description on any small rock island in that specific area of the Washington coast and county or maritime records. No development disputes matching the timeline. Nothing.
It doesn't exist.
Exactly. Gregory said it's like he was never really there in the first place. And that's what unsettles Gregory the most. The complete lack of external corroboration, as if the place itself or the memory of it just faded away.
Wow. That really pushes the boundaries, doesn't it?
Right.
From psychological stress to inexplicable phenomena, and finally to something that questions the very fabric of recorded reality. Was the place so isolated it fell off the maps, or is there something even stranger at play? A truly chilling thought to end on for that story.
Wow. Okay. Just processing all that. Each of these deep dives, these lighthouse stories, they really leave you with this lingering sense of unease, don't they? You've got the physical, almost invasive weirdness at Martinez Rock, then the sudden shift to pure human menace at Montauk, and finally, this Washington State story with the vanishing evidence. They definitely stick with you.
They really do. And what's so striking, I think, is how even though the details are totally different, supernatural interference, human threat, deep existential mystery, they all tap into that same core theme. It's about human vulnerability in these isolated, often imposing environments. And they force us to confront those big questions that come up when our rational explanations just completely fall apart. What is going on when a place seems to have its own agency, its own unsettling narrative?
So what's the takeaway for you listening to this?
Right.
Maybe it's just a stark reminder that some places, yeah, like these remote lighthouses, they hold more than just bricks and mortar, more than just history. They seem to hold stories, maybe energies that genuinely blur that line between what we think is real and something else, the truly unexplained. Makes you think, doesn't it? Next time you see a lighthouse beam cutting through the dark on some distant shore, what else might be out there just beyond the light? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious.